50 Lord of the Rings fans. They all got together in northern England, and they just, they pooled all their resources, and they shot this 40-minute video. And it looks incredible. I think they did it on a budget of like £3,400 or like $6,000 American. It looks professional.
Oh,
it's a totally free website. I mean, it's non-commercial. You can go there, you can view it.
There's another one. It's a free fan-made Star Wars movie. I cannot remember what it's called at this point, but it's same kind of deal. The fans went out there, and I mean the CGI in it is better than some of the stuff that's been coming out recently for that whole franchise. So it's really, if they're willing to put forth that effort and they're willing to make it look good and make it interesting. More importantly, make it interesting.
Yeah.
Do something different. I'm all for it. I mean, big budget movies they're only going to put that kind of money into a movie they know is going to sell.
Yeah, so it's going to be very broad. It's going to appeal to everyone.
Yeah,
and make it.
That's why you got your prequels, sequels, and remakes. I mean,
Right. Pretty much, yeah. And then too, like as far as blockbusters go, I have been noticing somewhat, like guys keep saying sequels and everything, and there's a lot of those, especially this time of year, summertime. Another blockbuster trend I've been noticing is like the comedies with like Judd Apatow and all those guys, and they're all blockbuster movies, but a few years ago they probably would have had to be a little bit more underground and stuff. So I want to say in ways somewhat blockbusters are expanding a little bit, but they, like you said, though, they do have that general like mass appeal element to them, and for me that's a big difference nowadays for me between a blockbuster versus an independent movie.
Do you have a preference as to what you'd like to see more? Do you like to see independent movies more? Do you like to see blockbuster?
Well, honestly, like I'm a movie person, so I will literally watch just about anything once. And the only genre of movie I honestly don't watch a lot of is I guess I'll call them traditional romantic comedies, like the ones that are pretty much aimed at women. I don't watch. Now like I said, the new like man rom-coms. Sometimes I watch those, but But you know what I'm talking about, though. Like
rom-com. That's a good
kind
phrase.
of what I call like the 40-year-old virgin. It's a romantic comedy, but it's from men's point of view.
Oh, absolutely.
Knocked up romantic comedy, men's point of view again. And I guess maybe I want to be in one of those movies one day. I keep talking about Judd Apatow and all those guys, but yeah. No, it's really because I have a crush on Seth Rogen. But so anyhow, that has nothing to do with anything. Continue.
But yeah, that's really with the Judd Apatow stuff. It's he started from not being big budget. I mean, that's the thing. He made a movie that wasn't big budget, but it made a lot of money, and that's really it. If they can prove they can make a lot of money to the studios, yeah, they're gonna do great. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I prefer personally independence. I mean, if I can see them, because I'm so sick of seeing the same recycled stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I definitely prefer independent movies. Coming from like an acting background, I know working on independent movies, there's a whole different vibe to the way it's made and the way it's put out. Everyone's more like close knit. Everyone works together to kind of get the product out there. It's just a funner, more loose environment.
Well,
whereas, I mean, I can't say I've ever worked on a blockbuster movie, but the kind of more mainstream movies that I have been like on the set of, they're definitely a lot more stricter, and there's a lot more defined roles, and it's a lot more protocols. So,
I mean, that's the thing. When you have like a restricted budget, you're looking at, you can't just say, oh well, we're gonna have to shoot for another couple of months, because we missed this one shot where I needed the light to be just right and all that. And it's just like, you have to be innovative. You have to sit there and just see where you can save money. Yeah. I mean, any chance you get, and that's the biggest thing. Plus another thing I like about a lot of independent movies is, because of that whole grassroots movement, a lot of independent artists, like musicians and stuff, they get into it too. There's a whole community. They all just work together to help each other out, and that's a great thing too. I like to see that. So.
It's funny how Hollywood, like every couple of years, they go through that whole period where it's like, oh, we don't know independent movies, we don't know what they're about.
Yeah.
And then like they quote unquote rediscover like independent film.
Because people stop watching movies.
They
just stop watching
they get bored of like
movies.
the blockbuster, and so they have to like go back in.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a huge nerd, and yeah, I know when certain one of these blockbusters, especially the nerd-focused ones, I will be all over them.
A lot of superhero.
Yeah, superhero and comic book stuff. I'll be all over it. But I mean, yeah, I love to see stuff that just where somebody worked hard. Someone actually put in the work. And yeah, big budget, sure, it's hard to make. there's a lot more hands going into it. There's a lot more people like involved. So
That's true. Well, and then, like I was saying about the big budget movies versus independent, I think that independent movies, a thing I like about them more is that a lot of times they will expose different kinds of things that you probably might not encounter in your own personal life. Like they kind of help broaden your horizons a little bit.
Well, we've been talking a lot about independent films, so let's kind of flip in and go to Blockbuster. Like what I know you've been talking about special effects that you really like about the Blockbuster, and maybe some more familiarized storylines. Like what else about the Blockbuster movie?
I mean, well, the Blockbuster movies, I mean, they're junk food. That's great. That's great to have. I mean, that's the thing. It's great to have. I go and I see, let's say for example, Transformers. I go see that. I know there's gonna be action. I know there's gonna be explosions. I know there's gonna be robots.
Yeah.
Those three things are awesome. So, I mean, that's something you don't get out of independent. Because independent, you don't really know quite what to expect. And it's just when you just want the brain to shut off for 2 hours and just relax.
Eat popcorn,
Big budget movie's
soda.
great,
Did
because
you
you
say
know
like
what's going to happen.
on a deeper level that it like brings communities together, because a lot of people are going to see it, and so it gives like
Oh,
a whole,
absolutely, yeah.
platform to talk about.
Especially like the big budget horror movies. You go into the theater and you watch it, and it's you get that shock moment where it's just like the whole theater is just this wave, and it's just that's great to see. And a lot of the independent stuff. You don't get that group mentality, which is fun occasionally.
Everyone reacts to those like a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I definitely know what you're talking about, because going in to see something like I don't know, Saw or one of those movies, you have the thing where everybody's like, oh my gosh, you did whatever, stabbed a knife. But then I have literally, I can't name the movie, but I've come out of so many, more independent movies or whatever, and half of the people are like, oh, that was great, and then somebody's like, I just don't get it, why did they just shoot him? And you're like, what? Missed the whole point of the movie. So
I think independent movies are more open to people's interpretations and their like belief systems. They kind of play into those.
Yeah,
a little bit
they
more.
make you question a little bit more. Big budget, it's like there's no question. Those robots are bad.
Exactly.
It's like that's
those
it.
People are good, and
that's it.
Oh my God,
It's a very simple thing.
really
Plus, a lot of independent movies. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of bad independent movies that are famous, that are popular.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's one, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, of course, but there's a lot that's just, it's so bad, but it's so popular. Yeah, that's the one thing about independent film is it's such a mixed bag. I mean, and that is the good thing, but it's like we were talking about with the big budgets. You know what you're getting into.
I have one, Donnie Darko. I extremely hate that movie hardcore. Like, I cannot stand that movie, and so many people love it, but I absolutely hate that movie.
Yeah, I don't hate it or love it. I just,
I get it.
But
And the one thing I will say, like, this is about independent